When it comes to producing corn, the state of Iowa is the 2010s Alabama football of it, the 1960s Celtics of it, the 1950 Yankees of it, the 2010s Lewis Hamilton of it. You get the gist. Now what if I told you the state of Iowa has a junior college football team on the verge of joining these past superior sports teams? In the city of Council Bluffs, Iowa, there's a college named Iowa Western Community College who's taken the NJCAA by storm through the sport of football. You may not know many Juco college football programs, but if you watch Netflix's Last Chance U, then you know how competitive and skilled these teams are and how hard it can be to win, which makes the rise of this college football program special. I first caught wind of this team in maybe 2020, 2021 when I saw a TikTok of their D1 looking facility as a Juco. I was intrigued from that point on. Now for this video, I'm going back to the year 2009, or their inaugural season, to give a quick synopsis of each season up until today. But first, their head coach for the team, still to this day, is Scott Strohmeyer, who got hired from North Iowa Area Community College after a 7-4 season in 2008. The Reavers started out in the Midwest Football Conference that had teams such as Strohmeyer's last team, NIACC, Grand Rapids Community College, and North Dakota's very own NDSCS. IWCC's first season was a 5-4 campaign, but with only 8 sophomores on the roster, a lot of experience was gained this first season for the team. Season number 2 as a full-time football school saw IWCC almost double their win total, going 9-2, even getting their first conference championship, and got as high as number 2 in the national ratings. Zach Stout, Iowa Western's quarterback in the 2010 season, still holds their records for most pass completions and passing yards in a game, in a bowl game against Snow College with 49 completions, 449 yards. 2011 saw the same accolades as their 2010 season, with that being a record of 9-2 and being Region 11 champs. But this season saw the foundation be laid for a great team. With the offense, they had quarterback Jake Waters, who put up 2,659 yards and 26 touchdowns, and running back Aaron Wembley, who had 887 yards with 10 touchdowns, while also having Jake Waters' brother Matt as a receiver. Put up 694 yards with 6 touchdowns. As well as on defense, Drake Furch, who had 8 interceptions, and Ty Brands, who had 20 tackles for loss and 11 sacks. 2012 is where some Juco football junkies may say they had the best team in Juco history. This 2012 Iowa Western team set NJCAA records for most points in a season and most yards in a season, with Jake Waters leading the nation in passing touchdowns and set an NJCAA record for completion percentage at 73%. Deion Long led with total receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. Wembley added 1,100 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns as well. Defensively, the standouts were Isaiah Johnson and Travis Green, who had 8 and 5 interceptions respectively. All of these stats got the team a record of 11-0 and a shot at the championship game against Butler Community College. The game wasn't too close, and Iowa Western won 27-7 for the first championship after only 4 years of being a program. After this season, IWCC saw themselves shell out 3 top 50 Juco recruits to the FBS schools, with that being Deion Long, Jake Waters, and Devin Nash. 2013 was obviously going to be a step back for the program as top players left, but this step back was just an 11-1 season, and that loss was to eventual runners-up in the national championship. The Reavers won their conference and region while having 5 shutout games. Keith Teague and Geronimo Allison led the offense game, with Trayvon Young having 22 tackles for loss and 13.5 sacks on defense. They had 2 top 50 Juco recruits and offense tackles Larry Mazik and Sebastian Tretola. In the year 2014, the conference Iowa Western was a part of, the Midwest Football Conference, dissolved, which left 3 Iowa teams in a conference of their own, but they still formed a schedule-in alliance with the Jayhawk Conference in Kansas. Their defense struggled a little bit with the new change of scenery and opponents, giving up a high of 18.3 points per game, yet IWCC still went 11-0 in that season. I also think this defense set a record for most TFLs in a season from the school. They had 163 TFLs. Anyways, this set them up in the championship game against East Mississippi Community College, or the college from the first 2 seasons of Last Chance U. This East Mississippi team had the likes of quarterback Chad Kelly, D-tackle DJ Jones, DN Dante Sawyer, outside linebacker Lorenzo Phillips, and running back DJ Law. So a great team, and it showed in the first half as IWCC was down 21-7 at half, and the game ended 34-17. Surprised it wasn't a bigger score difference, as Iowa Western had 5 turnovers and Chad Kelly had 434 passing yards. 2015 took a little more of a step back from 2014-2013 as the Reavers ended with a record of 10-2. Offensively, it was questionable. They did throw for almost 3,200 yards, but that was between 3 different quarterbacks, and the run game saw it split between 3 different backs as well. Not much else to say about this season besides having the number 6 and number 50 Juco recruits and wide receiver Taj Williams and safety Jamie Thompson respectively. Now 2016 is where something went wrong, to say the least. The offense had a drastic decline in points compared to previous seasons, only scoring 26.2 points per game. Yes, most of their losses were close games, but the defense only gave up 250 yards and 19 points a game over the season. Defense may have not been the problem, but could have been the problem. Here's what I mean. 29 sacks total and 106 TFLs were some of the lowest levels of production numbers by Iowa Western since their inaugural season. These defensive stats, culminating with the worst passing offense the Reavers have ever seen, led to a record of 6-6. The only good news from the season was Andrew Van Ginkel being the 20th ranked Juco recruit. Do not fret though, YouTube fans. 2017 was a bounce back year for IWCC as they finished with a record of 11-1. The offense went back to scoring a lot of points, 45.8 per game to be exact, and it was led by the run game that had 3,300 total yards, with Mekhi Sargent being the main back and quarterback Kai Loxley providing meaningful yards. Their lone loss came at Butler Community College 21-19. Lastly, Iowa Western produced 2 top 50 Juco recruits and tackled Noah Banks and Anthony McKinney. 2018 was a 10-1 record for the Reavers, but it wasn't too special of a season. The one loss they had came on a last-second field goal against Garden City, who eventually lost in the national championship game. Probably the most interesting story from the season was that Iowa Western had the number 2 ranked Juco prospect in Chester Graves. He had offers from Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, and more, but he decided to sign with Saskatchewan in the CFL, and where I could only find that he was a free agent after 2019. Speaking of 2019, how 2018 wasn't too special, this year 2019 was definitely not special. A record of 9-3, and I believe the lowest offensive number set by an IWCC team since their inaugural season. Even worse than their 6-6 2016 season stats, as the team in 2019 put up 328 yards a game, which led to a 1-3 start. However, the Reavers ended on an 8-game win streak. On the other hand, I also believe this season they had their most top 50 Juco recruits, with there being 5. And Perion Winfrey being the number 1 Juco recruit. 2020 season saw spring football be played in 2021, and IWCC didn't play their usual schedule. This season they played teams such as Northeastern Oklahoma A&M College and Arkansas Baptist College, which gave the team a record of 7-1, where they only gave up 9 points a game. So I think I'm just going to call this season a wash. Now for the fall 2021 season, it looked eerie similar to the 9-3 2019 season in terms of team statistics. Except for 2021, the Reavers didn't just win 1 game in a row, or 2, or 3, but 10 games in a row, leading to number 1 national ranking and a spot in the national championship game. Which is crazy as their quarterback that season, Nate Glanz, only threw with a 53 completion percentage. Run game had 1,462 yards total, and defense only had 31 sacks and 93 TFLs, which are low by Iowa Western standards. Anyways, in the championship, the Reavers faced 2-seed New Mexico Military Institute, and Iowa Western got smacked. The score was 31-0 at the start of the 4th in favor of New Mexico. The game ended 31-13. Now 2022 saw a revamped offense, meaning a new quarterback, 3 new top rushers, and 2 top new receivers. And a new quarterback and receivers didn't lead to much, as the team only passed for 154 yards a game, but the run game stepped up to 200 yards a game. Defense even held opponents to 10.6 points a game, along with 125 TFLs, 56 sacks, and forcing 26 turnovers. Jackson Fowler had 15.5 sacks with 28 TFLs, scoring him Defensive Player of the Year in Juco. With all these accomplishments, Iowa Western still went 8-2, leading them to be a 3-seed in the Juco playoffs. The first matchup, they beat Northwest Mississippi with a score of 33-12, leading to the championship game against Hutchinson. This was not a game. Just like 2021, the score was 31-0, but in favor of Iowa Western, this time leading to their second Juco championship. As Drake said to Meek Mill, we're going back to back. In 2023, the Reavers had a less dominant defense this season and about the same offensive output. This team did have 5 one-possession games, and they won and ended the season 10-1. First round of the playoffs, they beat Kilgore College 47-7, and in the championship game, they beat East Mississippi 61-14. So offensively and defensively, they stepped up when the time was needed. What's also crazy about the back-to-back championships, it only produced 2 top 50 Juco recruits in those 2 seasons. But now you viewers know about the most dominant team in Juco football with their rise to fame in the Juco sports world. Only took them 15 quick seasons to become a powerhouse in the country, which is impressive to say the least. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, the subscribe button, and hitting the bell notifications. Thank you.